Alyssa Taylor. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions here at Faulkner Law, and I'm here with Dean Mendenhall, who's our Executive Director of the new Blackstone and Burke Center for Law and Liberty. We're just going to talk for a few minutes about President Trump's new Supreme Court pick, Judge Gorsuch. So first, if you don't mind just telling us a little bit about Judge Gorsuch and his background, where he came from.
Sure. Well, Judge Gorsuch is 49 years old, so he will probably be sitting on the bench for quite some time. He currently sits as a judge on the 10th Circuit, and he is from Denver, Colorado. He grew up in Washington, D.C. His mom headed up the EPA. He moved back to Denver with his family and is a sort of a Western guy. He likes fly fishing and he likes outdoors activity. And so he's not this Washington insider, even though he has impeccable credentials. He graduated from Columbia, Harvard Law School, and has a doctorate from Oxford.
So being that he studied at Oxford and received his PhD in jurisprudence there, what do you think that this tells us about some of his ideological backgrounds when it comes to jurisprudence?
Well, I think we know from his dissertation work and from his study under the Australian legal philosopher John Finnis, and from some of his writings off the bench, that he is an adherent of the new natural law. And I think that will be very interesting to see. I remember the confirmation hearings on Justice Clarence Thomas. He was asked directly about natural law, and that generated some heated discussion. So it will be interesting to see how that plays out. It will be interesting to see what questions the senators come up with about this topic.
Absolutely. Being that Judge Gorsuch is nominated in order to replace Justice Scalia, how do you think that his jurisprudence is going to differ, if any, from the late Justice Scalia?
Well, there's one important respect in which it will differ, and this is the one respect that everyone's sort of talking about, and that's on the issue of Chevron deference, the idea that that the courts ought to give deference of opinion to administrative agencies and their expertise and their opinions. Scalia, towards the end of his life, had begun to push back against that idea, but had passed away before he really had a chance to hash out his ideas on this topic. But for most of his career, he remained deferential to administrative agencies. And this has been something that conservatives complained about. Conservatives wanted to push back against the administrative state and the bureaucracy that comes with these administrative agencies, and some of the unaccountability, because these administrative agencies are run by people who are essentially unaccountable because they're not elected, and they have a lot of career employees in there, and they carry out some controversial things at times. And so conservatives for a long time have been pushing back this administrative state. Now what's interesting is that the Democrats are now sort of all of a sudden learning about the problematic powers that these administrative agencies have. Now that they're in the hands of Donald Trump, now that it's Donald Trump's appointees carrying it out, they're worried about what the EPA might do under Donald Trump's leadership, or they're worried about Donald Trump's executive order on immigration. Now all of a sudden the Democrats may be open to this idea that administrative agencies ought not to have these kinds of powers, and that the courts ought to be carving out those powers, pushing back against them.
Now, as far as his nomination, completing the Supreme Court and having that full bench, how do you think that Judge Gorsuch will impact the rest of the court from this point forward?
Well, in the way he restores the balance, so we no longer have an 8-member court, and this idea that there's a 4-4 split with Kennedy being that swing vote in the middle comes back into play again. What will be really interesting is if one of the other justices that are up there in years, like Justice Kennedy, like Justice Ginsburg, like Justice Breyer, now if one of those justices decides to retire, then you could see a major swing in the court, because if it's Kennedy, then that 4-4 split with one in the middle can become a solid 5-4 majority. If it's Ginsburg, then that's you're replacing a left with a right, and same with Breyer, and a left with a right. So that's an even bigger swing. And imagine if all three of them go, then you've got a tremendous swing in the nature of the court. So, replacing Scalia with Gorsuch may not have the same kind of impact that replacing any of those other justices would have.
Somebody else later on when it would kind of shift the balance one way or another.
Exactly.
As far as his confirmation, do you think that he's going to have any trouble being confirmed?
I don't. I think that if it came to it, I know Donald Trump today had just released a statement that if the Republicans have to, they will go the nuclear option and just confirm Gorsuch on a straight majority vote. I don't think that will be necessary. I think he'll get through the Senate Judiciary Committee easily. They've got a Republican majority, and that's all you need to get out. All you really need to get confirmed is a majority in the Senate, which he's got. There are 52 Republicans. He'll probably get all 52. But if the Democrats choose to filibuster, they may not. They may not choose to filibuster. He may just get through on a straight party line vote. I don't think it would even happen that way. I think there would be some Democrats that choose to vote for him. But if the Democrats decided to filibuster, I believe that the Republicans could find 8 Democrats who would be willing to enable to vote for Gorsuch and enable the Republicans to vote cloture and get the nominee through. So
I think that you're definitely right with that. As far as the Blackstone and Burke Center and all of this, how are you feeling regarding your center and the initiatives that you're going to be working towards, and then how that relates to this new nomination?
I think Gorsuch is an excellent pick for Donald Trump. I think his ideas are compatible with many of those ideas at the center. I think it's exciting that he's a student of the new natural law. It will be very interesting to see a philosophical mind up on the court. A lot of the justices up on the court have interesting practical experience, as does Gorsuch, but none comes to us with this type of philosophical understanding of the law, with this jurisprudential understanding of the law, and that would be exciting to see.
I think you're right. I think we've definitely got some exciting times ahead, and I appreciate your time today. Again, this is Dean Alan Mendenhall, the Executive Director of the Blackstone and Burke Center for Law and Liberty. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to sitting down with you soon and discussing new things as they arise.
Well, thanks, Alyssa.
Okay.